Hey folks, welcome back to Stoic Talks. Let me paint a picture for you. Imagine a person, someone who's trying to attract you, and they're thinking about begging for your attention. Actually, scratch that. Let's make it real. They're already begging for a glimpse of your time, constantly waiting for you to notice them. You see them doing this, practically bending over backwards for just a second of your day. Now ask yourself, do you find that attractive? Do you feel drawn to that? Be honest. If you're feeling anything at all, it's not because you love them. That's impossible. What you're feeling is probably pity, maybe kindness, because you've got a good heart. But that's no real attraction. And let me tell you, that relationship, it's already fading before it even begins. Now here's the gut punch. You are doing this. You're the one begging for attention, standing at someone's doorstep like a doormat, hoping for a second of their time. Does that feel good? Does that feel like power? Because I'll tell you this, it's not. It's weakness. And if you can't see that yet, then you need to open your eyes. They see you as someone who needs them, and that's where you lose. Real attraction isn't about begging. It's about standing tall, knowing your worth, and making them realize what they'd lose if you walk away. Stop being the doormat and start being the one who holds the power. Now, let's paint another picture. This time it's you, but you've stopped begging for their attention. You're done chasing. You're done waiting around like some lost puppy, hoping for crumbs. Now you stand tall, unshaken, and let me tell you, there's fire in your eyes. You've walked away from their doorstep, no longer the doormat. The moment you stop fighting for their attention, the whole dynamic shifts. Suddenly, they start noticing the space you've left behind because now you're not there to fill it. You've become the storm they can't ignore. You're not bending, you're not breaking, you're rising, and the power that comes with that is unstoppable. They can sense it. It's like the energy in a room changes when you walk in. You're not desperate anymore. You're dangerous in the best way possible. They realize now you're not someone they can toy with. You're someone they should fear losing. Imagine it. Imagine them looking at you with wide eyes, wondering what happened, asking themselves why they didn't see this side of you before. You're no longer seeking approval. You're commanding respect. They know that if they don't step up, you're gone. And here's the real kicker. Whether they notice or not, you don't care anymore. You've taken back your power, and that's worth more than their fleeting attention ever will be. You are the prize they should be fighting for your attention, not the other way around. Now, that's attractive. That's real power. And that, my friends, is exactly what happens when you stop fighting for their attention. And yes, folks, this is the moment you should hit that like button under this video, because let me be straight with you. If this video is helping you out, then it's your turn to help this video reach more people who need to hear this message. We rise together. Let's make sure no one is left chasing where they shouldn't be. And now, let's proceed towards our 9-step transformation journey, because it doesn't end here, folks. When you decide to stop fighting for their attention, you're not just sitting there waiting around for them to notice. In fact, you're shifting your entire focus, building yourself up, and becoming someone they can't ignore. And that's exactly what we're going to discuss in this video. You have to stay with me, because this is the day we rewrite the story of your relationship life. This is the day you stop being that doormat, stop being the one who begs, and start being the one who's in control. Here's a little challenge for you. Drop a comment below with the phrase, "I am not a doormat." This is important, folks. This phrase is your mantra, because we all know you are valuable. You are someone who deserves to be respected and cherished, not a doormat. And they have to see your true worth. They have to recognize what they're losing when they overlook you. So go ahead, declare it loud in the comments. Don't shy away at this moment. Let them find out that you've reclaimed your power and you're no longer the person who will settle for less than what you deserve. Now, with this energy, let's dive in. Number 1. Operate like a VIP. Have you ever thought about beggars? How do people treat them? Maybe with pity, maybe with indifference. But one thing's for sure. No one respects a beggar. Now let me ask you this. Why are you begging and fighting for their attention? Why do you think they'll treat you any differently? You're lowering yourself, waiting for crumbs of attention, hoping for just a second of their time. And that attention, my friends, is something you will never get this way. Not by being the beggar. The truth is, when you're chasing someone like that, you're handing over all the power. You're showing them that you don't value yourself enough to walk away, that you're willing to sacrifice your dignity for a scrap of their time. That's not how attraction works. Begging for attention only pushes them further away because no one is drawn to desperation. But what happens when you stop? What happens when you decide you're done begging and fighting for their approval? That's when everything changes. Suddenly, you're not the beggar anymore. You've become the VIP. You hold your head high, knowing your worth, and you start acting like someone who doesn't need anyone else's validation. And here's the key. People will notice. They'll see that shift in you, and instead of taking you for granted, they'll start wondering how they can earn your time and attention. So, what does it mean to operate like a VIP? Picture a VIP at an exclusive event. They don't chase people around hoping for a conversation. They sit confidently. They command the room with their presence, and others naturally gravitate towards them. That's because a VIP knows they don't need to prove themselves. Their value is intrinsic, and they're selective with who they allow into their space. Now take that mindset and apply it to your relationships. If you've been chasing someone, texting them constantly, bending over backwards to get their attention, it's time to stop. VIPs don't fight for attention, they attract it. By knowing their worth, you're not available at their convenience anymore. You're not going to jump when they give you a sliver of their time. Instead, you start focusing on yourself. You invest in your goals, your passions, your personal growth. You fill your life with things that excite you, that make you feel alive and confident. When you operate like a VIP, you're showing the world that you are complete on your own. And that energy? It's magnetic. It draws people in because nothing is more attractive than someone who doesn't need external validation to feel whole. When you stop begging for their attention, something remarkable happens. The distance you create leaves space for them to miss you. You're no longer there, constantly available, so they start to feel the absence of your presence. It's human nature. People want what they can't easily have. And now, you've become a person of value, someone whose attention must be earned. Think of it like this. If you're always standing outside their door, waiting for them to open it, they'll never wonder where you are. But the moment you stop knocking, they'll start checking the window to see if you're still there. They'll wonder why you've pulled back, and that curiosity often leads to attraction. When they realize you're not there at their beck and call, they begin to see your worth. I get it. It's not easy to suddenly operate like a VIP, especially if you've spent a long time chasing someone or feeling like you're at their mercy. It might feel unnatural at first, and you might worry about losing them altogether. But here's where you have to remind yourself of today's mantra. I am not a doormat. Say it again and again until you believe it. Operating like a VIP means respecting yourself enough to let go of those who don't value you. It's about recognizing that your worth isn't tied to someone else's approval. It's about trusting that when you stop fighting for their attention, the right people, the ones who truly see your value, will come to you. After you stop operating like a doormat and start behaving like a VIP, you'll notice something amazing. That person who used to treat you like an option, they'll start to realize what they're missing. Suddenly, you're no longer the one waiting around for their time. Now, they're the ones thinking about how to get back into your good graces. But here's the beauty of it. By the time they realize it, you may not even care anymore. You've found your power, your self-worth, and now you've set the standard for how you expect to be treated. Whether they step up or not becomes irrelevant because you have already won. This is just the first step in your transformation. Now that you've decided to operate like a VIP, you're not only changing how you see yourself, but also how others see you. In the next step, we're going to talk about disrupting their expectations, how to surprise them by flipping the script and making them see you in a whole new light. And folks, if you've got any questions or a different point of view, drop it in the comments. I'd love to hear your thoughts. And if everything is crystal clear and this video really hits home for you, then go ahead and smash that like button if you have not already. Stay with me, because this journey is about rewriting the story of your relationships, and it's only just beginning. You are not a doormat. You are a force. Number 2, disrupt their expectations. Now that you've started operating like a VIP, it's time to shake things up even more. You've been playing by their rules, haven't you? Always predictable, always there when they need you, always accommodating. Well, guess what? That ends today. The next step in your transformation is all about disrupting their expectations. When people get used to you being a certain way, whether it's always available, always saying yes, or always making the first move, they start to take you for granted. But what happens when you flip the script? What happens when you stop being predictable? That's when they'll sit up and take notice. Predictability is comforting, but it's also boring. If someone knows exactly how you're going to respond, they'll never see you as a challenge. And let's be honest, chasing someone who's easy to figure out, that's not exciting. What keeps people interested is a bit of mystery, a bit of unpredictability. They need to feel like they can't fully anticipate your every move. So, how do you disrupt their expectations? Start doing the opposite of what they've come to expect from you. If you're always the one initiating contact, stop. Let them wonder where you've gone. If you've always been the one to bend over backward for their schedule, start prioritizing your time instead. It's about breaking the old patterns and making them see you in a completely new light. Imagine someone who's always counted on you to answer their texts right away. They're used to you being instantly available. Now suddenly, you don't respond immediately. In fact, you don't respond for hours or even days. At first, they might be confused, maybe even annoyed, but then they'll start wondering what you're up to, why you've changed, and most importantly, whether they've lost you. That's the moment when their interest spikes because you're no longer the person they had in their back pocket. Disrupting their expectations means flipping the script on the entire dynamic. If they're used to you constantly being there, chasing after them, you pull back. If they've been treating you like a fallback option, you start acting like you have 100 other options, because you do. This is where you show them that you're not someone who waits around for breadcrumbs of attention. You're someone who demands respect. Let's say you've been trying to attract someone who's been distant or giving you mixed signals. Instead of reacting with frustration or desperation, you go silent. You stop engaging with their half-hearted efforts and start focusing on yourself. What happens next? They'll start questioning everything. Why aren't you reacting the way you used to? Why aren't you fighting for their attention? They'll start to feel the power shift, and suddenly, you're the one who's in control. When you disrupt their expectations, you create a new energy around yourself. This isn't about playing games or manipulating them. It's about showing them that you're not someone they can predict, control, or take for granted. You're showing them that if they want to be in your life, they need to work for it. This shift creates curiosity, intrigue, and ultimately attraction. Think about it like this. If someone is reading a book and can predict every plot twist, they'll eventually get bored and stop reading. But if the book keeps surprising them, throwing in unexpected turns, they won't be able to put it down. You are that book. You need to keep them on their toes. Make them work to figure you out. Make them wonder what your next move will be. That's where real attraction builds. People don't appreciate what they think they can always have. But when there's uncertainty, when they're not sure where they stand with you, that's when their feelings intensify. Disrupting their expectations creates just enough uncertainty to make them realize they can't take you for granted anymore. They're going to start thinking, wait, I thought I had them all figured out. I thought I knew where they stood, but now they're not so sure. And that's when they start putting in the effort to earn your attention, instead of assuming it's always going to be there. They'll start reaching out more, trying harder, because they've realized they don't have you on lock like they thought. I know what you're thinking. What if disrupting their expectations feels uncomfortable? What if they get mad or pull away? Listen, if someone pulls away just because you're no longer catering to their every whim, then they were never worth your time to begin with. You deserve someone who respects you, who values your attention and effort. And if it feels uncomfortable at first, that's just your old habits fighting back. This is the moment you need to remind yourself of today's mantra. I am not a doormat. Disrupting their expectations might feel like a risk, but it's a risk worth taking, because here's the truth. You have nothing to lose. If they can't handle the shift, then they were never going to give you the respect you deserve anyway. And if they step up, then you've just set a new standard for how they treat you moving forward. After you disrupt their expectations, you'll notice a shift in how they treat you. They'll see you as someone who isn't easily controlled or predictable, someone who knows their worth and isn't afraid to demand it. You'll stop being their fallback, their option, and become someone they have to work to keep in their life. Now that we've shaken things up, it's time to dive into the next step, investing in the scarcity principle. If you thought disrupting their expectations was powerful, wait until you see what happens when you make yourself even harder to get. Stay with me, because this journey is just getting started, and the next move is going to take your transformation to a whole new level. You are not a doormat. You are someone who commands respect. Number 3, invest in the scarcity principle. Now that you've started operating like a VIP and disrupted their expectations, it's time to take things to the next level. Welcome to the scarcity principle. This is one of the most powerful tools in your arsenal, and here's why. People value what is hard to get. The more available you are, the less they appreciate you. But when you start making yourself scarce, that's when they realize how valuable your time and attention truly are. Let's break it down. If something is always within reach, people assume it's not that special. It's human nature. But when something becomes harder to obtain, when it becomes scarce, it instantly gains value. Think about rare gems, limited edition items, or even concert tickets to a sold-out show. Why do people go crazy for these things? Because they know not everyone can have them. The same rule applies to you in relationships. So how do you apply the scarcity principle in your life? Simple. You stop being too available. If you're always the one texting first, always the one showing up, always the one making the effort, they'll start expecting it from you. And once they expect it, they stop appreciating it. But when you pull back, when you stop being at their beck and call, they'll start noticing. They'll wonder why you've become more distant, why your time is no longer easily accessible, and that's when the shift happens. It's about quality over quantity. Your time and attention are precious, and when you start treating them that way, others will too. Instead of constantly reaching out to them, let them come to you. Instead of always being the one to accommodate their schedule, make them work around yours. You're showing them that your time is a limited resource, and they better start valuing it before it's gone. Absence makes the heart grow fonder. It's a cliché for a reason. It works. When you're not always there, when you create some distance, they start to miss you. They start to realize that your presence in their life isn't something they can take for granted. And here's the beauty of it. The more you invest in the scarcity principle, the more they'll want you around. It's counterintuitive, but when you pull back, they'll start craving your attention even more. Think about it like this. Imagine someone who used to be available 24/7, always ready to drop everything for you. At first, it feels nice, but after a while, it gets boring. Now imagine that same person suddenly becomes harder to reach. They're no longer at your disposal. Suddenly, their time seems more precious, more valuable. You begin to think, did I take them for granted? Why aren't they as available as they used to be? That's exactly what happens when you invest in the scarcity principle. You create space for them to realize your true worth. You might be thinking, isn't making myself scarce just playing games? Absolutely not. The scarcity principle isn't about manipulation. It's about setting boundaries and reinforcing your value. If someone can only respect your time and attention when they feel like it's scarce, that's a reflection on how they've been treating you. The goal isn't to play hard to get. It's to show them that you are not always going to be there waiting for them to throw you a bone. You're teaching them that if they want your attention, they need to step up and earn it. When you start implementing the scarcity principle, you'll notice a shift in their behavior. They'll start reaching out more, trying harder, and putting in the effort they never gave before. Why? Because they'll realize that your attention isn't something they can count on anymore. It's something they need to work for. This doesn't mean you completely disappear or cut them off. It means you become selective with your time. You focus on what's important to you, and you make them understand that your attention is a privilege, not a guarantee. Imagine you're trying to attract someone new, but they've been distant. You've been chasing, reaching out, trying to make plans. Now it's time to stop. You pull back. You invest in yourself, in your goals, in your passions. You let them feel your absence, and when they do reach out, you don't rush to respond. You take your time because you're no longer desperate for their attention. You're teaching them that your time is valuable, and if they want a part of it, they need to start putting in the effort. Now that you've invested in the scarcity principle, you're in control. You've shifted the power dynamic, and they're starting to see your true worth. But we're not done yet. Next, we're going to talk about how to reverse the script, how to turn the tables completely and make them chase you. Stay with me, because this transformation journey is just getting started, and you're about to see just how powerful you really are. Number 4. Reverse the script. Now, after operating like a VIP, disrupting their expectations, and investing in the scarcity principle, this is the time to reverse the script. At first, you were the one being the doormat, constantly chasing, always available, practically begging for their attention. But not anymore. You've shifted the dynamic, created distance, and now you have the power. It's time to flip the situation entirely. Now they are the ones who need to chase you. Reversing the script means you're no longer the one trying to prove your worth. You're making them prove theirs. You've shown them that your attention isn't something to take lightly, and now they're left wondering how to get it back. When you stop facing them, they start noticing the space you've left behind. This isn't about disappearing or playing hard to get. It's about showing them that you're not going to fight for attention from someone who doesn't value you. They need to feel the absence of your presence. At first, they were used to you being there at the drop of a hat, always responding instantly, always eager to make plans. But now, suddenly, you're not. You're no longer easy to reach. You're not initiating contact, and you've stopped bending over backwards for them. This shift creates a void, and people don't like voids. They'll start wondering where you went, why you've pulled back, and how they can regain your attention. This is the perfect moment to reverse the script, because now they're feeling the uncertainty you once felt. They're questioning where they stand with you, just like you used to question where you stood with them. When you reverse the script, they're now the ones putting in the effort, and the tables have turned. Think of it like a game of chess. At first, they were calling all the shots, and you were reacting to their moves. But now, you're 2 steps ahead. You're no longer reacting. You're strategizing. You control the board, and they're scrambling to figure out your next move. Maybe they sent a casual message expecting an immediate reply, but this time you don't rush to respond. You take your time, and when you do, it's calm, collected, and on your terms. You're showing them that your time is valuable, and you're no longer playing their games. Reversing the script also means shifting the focus back to you. You're no longer centered on their needs, desires, or approval. Instead, you're focused on what you want and deserve. You've stopped giving away your energy and begun directing it toward your own life, your goals, your passions, your happiness. You're no longer living in reaction to them, but in pursuit of your own fulfillment. Here's the kicker. Once they see that your world no longer revolves around them, they'll realize what they've lost. They'll wonder how they now fit into your life, and that's when they begin to chase you. Reversing the script means they're no longer getting your attention for free. Now, if they want to be part of your life, they have to earn it. You've made yourself a VIP, and access to you is no longer automatic. This means that when they reach out, you don't always say yes right away. They need to prove they're worthy of your time and attention. You might be wondering, what if I reverse the script and they don't chase me? Here's the truth. If they don't chase after you when you pull back, they were never truly invested. That's a blessing. You're not looking for someone who sticks around when it's easy. You're looking for someone willing to work to be in your life. Reversing the script isn't about manipulating anyone. It's about setting the standard for how you deserve to be treated. If they can't meet that standard, then you know they're not worth your time. You deserve someone who respects your worth, not someone who takes it for granted. Now that you've reversed the script, the power dynamic has shifted completely. You're no longer the one chasing, they are. But we're not done yet. Next, we'll talk about how to turn silence into your superpower, using restraint to create even more intrigue and attraction. Stay with me because your journey is far from over. You're no longer a doormat, you're in control. Number 5. Turn silence into your superpower. Now we've reached a point in your transformation where you're no longer chasing or playing by their rules. You've reversed the script, but what's next? This is where things get truly powerful. Silence. Silence is your greatest weapon, and no, you're not letting it kill you. You're letting it build your strength. Silence creates mystery, intrigue, and most importantly, control. We live in a world where everyone rushes to fill silence, thinking it means something is wrong. But here's where you shift the narrative. Silence doesn't mean something's wrong. It means you're in control. It says, I don't need to explain myself, and I certainly don't need to fight for your attention. When you stop speaking or reacting, it forces the other person to reflect. They start wondering, why haven't I heard from them? Did I mess up? Your silence creates a void, and in that void, they begin to chase after you, filling it with doubt. Imagine you've always been quick to respond, always keeping the conversation alive. Now you go quiet. You stop filling in the gaps. What happens? They'll notice. They'll start wondering why you're suddenly distant. Silence plants a seed of curiosity, and the more they think about it, the more they think about you. A lot of people fear silence, thinking it means they're losing someone. But silence speaks louder than words. It makes people realize your attention is valuable. If you're trying to attract someone who's been distant and you pull back with silence, you're not playing games. You're creating space for them to miss you. Silence also empowers you. It's a moment where you gather your strength, focus on yourself, and stop reacting to every little thing. You're not anxiously waiting for their response. You're growing more confident and in control. Silence isn't weakness. It's the ultimate show of strength. It says, I know my worth and I don't need to chase you. That quiet confidence is magnetic. Now that you've learned to turn silence into your superpower, the dynamic has shifted completely. You've created space for them to miss you, to crave your attention, and to realize your worth. But we're not done yet. Next, we're going to talk about creating a non-negotiable list. How to set clear standards for yourself and ensure that no one crosses your boundaries ever again. Stay with me because this transformation is far from over. You are not a doormat. You are a force of nature, and silence is just the beginning of your power. Number 6. Create a non-negotiable list. Now that you've mastered the art of silence and shifted the dynamic in your favor, it's time to take control in a more concrete way. This is where you create a non-negotiable list. What's a non-negotiable list? It's a clear set of boundaries and standards that define what you will not tolerate in any relationship, romantic, friendship, or otherwise. This list is the backbone of your self-respect, and it ensures that you'll never be treated like a doormat again. Think of it like building a fortress around your self-worth. These non-negotiables are the walls that protect you from being walked all over. They're the rules that remind you and anyone who enters your life what you deserve. The moment someone crosses those boundaries, you walk away. No questions asked, no excuses made. Without clear standards, you're leaving yourself open to disrespect, manipulation, and toxic behaviors. People will push your limits if you don't clearly define them. A non-negotiable list sets those limits, and it's a statement to the world. This is what I will accept, and nothing less. It's about refusing to lower your standards just to keep someone around. If they can't meet your non-negotiables, then they don't deserve a spot in your life. Start by reflecting on what truly matters to you. What are the core values and behaviors that are absolutely essential for you to feel respected and valued in a relationship? It could be honesty, where no lies or half-truths are tolerated. It could be consistency. If someone's hot and cold with you, that's a red flag. You deserve steady, reliable attention, not someone who only shows up when it's convenient. Mutual effort is another one. You're not putting in all the work. Relationships are two-way streets, and if they're not pulling their weight, they don't deserve your time and respect. This is non-negotiable. If someone disrespects you, whether it's through their words, actions, or treatment, they're gone. Once you've created your list, it's crucial that you defend those non-negotiables without apology. If someone crosses the line, you don't let it slide. You don't make excuses for them or hope they'll change. You cut them off, knowing that you deserve better. Imagine someone repeatedly cancels plans last minute, leaving you hanging. One of your non-negotiables is consistency and respect for your time. Instead of accepting their excuses or lowering your standards, you walk away. This sends a powerful message. You will not settle for being treated as an option. When you stick to your non-negotiables, something incredible happens. You stop wasting time on people who don't respect you, and you create space for those who will. You'll attract people who are ready to meet your standards because they see that you're not willing to lower them for anyone. Having a non-negotiable list isn't about being inflexible or demanding. It's about knowing your worth. It's about saying, I deserve to be treated with respect, and I won't accept anything less. And the moment you start living by that standard, others will have no choice but to rise to meet it or walk away. Now that you've created your non-negotiable list, you've set the foundation for a life where your boundaries are respected and your worth is never questioned. But we're not done yet. Next, we're going to talk about building your emotional vault, how to protect your emotional energy, and ensure that only the right people have access to your inner world. Stay with me, because this transformation journey is about to get even deeper. You are not a doormat. You are someone who demands and receives respect. Number 7. Build your emotional vault. Now that you've created your non-negotiable list and set the standard for how others will treat you, it's time to take it a step further. Building your emotional vault. What does that mean? It means protecting your emotional energy and deciding who gets access to the deepest parts of you. Not everyone deserves to know your inner world. This vault isn't about shutting people out, but about creating strong boundaries that keep you safe from those who would take advantage of your vulnerability. Think of your emotions as treasures locked in a vault. You wouldn't give just anyone the key to that vault, right? The same goes for your heart and mind. Too often, we give people access to our emotions before they've earned that trust. We overshare, we overinvest, and before we know it, we're left feeling drained because the wrong people had access to the most important parts of us. Building your emotional vault means being selective. It means you take your time before opening up. You observe, you see who is truly there for you, and you gauge whether they're worthy of your trust. If someone constantly disrespects your boundaries, they don't get the key to your vault. If someone is inconsistent or only shows up when it benefits them, they don't get the privilege of knowing your deeper thoughts and feelings. Imagine someone who constantly flirts with you, but never really commits. They send mixed signals, and you're left wondering where you stand. Instead of opening your vault and pouring out your emotions, hold back. Keep that vault closed until their actions prove they're worthy of your trust. If they're serious, they'll step up. If not, you've protected yourself from unnecessary pain. By building your emotional vault, you're safeguarding your energy and ensuring that only those who genuinely respect and value you have access to your deeper self. This isn't about being cold or distant. It's about recognizing that your emotions are precious and not everyone deserves access to them. Now that your emotional vault is secure, we're moving on to the next level. Up next, we'll talk about how to embody the pivot, the art of gracefully shifting your focus and power in any situation. Stay with me because this transformation is far from over. You are not a doormat. You are someone who controls access to your emotional world with strength and discernment. Number 8. Embody the pivot. Now that you've built your emotional vault and protected your energy, it's time to embody the pivot. What does that mean? It means mastering the art of gracefully shifting your focus and power in any situation. The pivot is your ability to adapt and change direction when things aren't serving you without losing your balance. Imagine this. You're focused on someone who's been distant or isn't giving you the respect you deserve. Instead of clinging to the hope that they'll change, you pivot. You stop wasting energy on them, and you shift your focus back to yourself, your goals, and the things that truly matter. The power of the pivot is in knowing when to let go and when to change direction. It's about not letting any person or situation keep you stuck. When you embody the pivot, you show strength. You're not rigidly attached to an outcome or someone else's validation. If they're not stepping up, you pivot away from them and toward your own growth and happiness. It's the ultimate move of self-respect. Think of a basketball player. When they're blocked from making a shot, they pivot. They change direction without hesitation, always ready to make a new play. In your life, embodying the pivot means not being afraid to change course, to walk away, and to redirect your energy. Now that you're learning how to pivot, you'll start to see the power in letting go. Up next, we'll talk about owning your exit, how to confidently leave situations that no longer serve you, and why that's one of the strongest moves you can make. Stay with me, because your transformation is about to reach its peak. You are not a doormat. You are someone who knows when to pivot and reclaim your power. Number 9. Own your exit. Now that you've mastered the art of the pivot, it's time to talk about the most powerful move you can make. Own your exit. Owning your exit means having the strength and confidence to leave any situation that no longer serves you, whether it's a relationship, a toxic friendship, or a job that's draining your soul. It's about walking away without hesitation, without guilt, and without the need for an explanation. When you own your exit, you're saying to the world, I know my worth, and I won't settle for less. Imagine a situation where you're giving everything to someone, but they're not reciprocating. They're not meeting your needs, they're not showing up for you, and they're treating you like an option. Instead of sticking around, hoping things will change, you decide to leave. You exit the situation with your head held high, knowing that you're worthy of more. You don't look back, and you certainly don't chase after them. Owning your exit isn't about running away. It's about choosing to leave on your own terms. It's about reclaiming your power and walking away with confidence. When you own your exit, you're not only protecting your mental and emotional well-being, but you're also teaching others how to treat you. When you leave, you're sending a clear message that you value yourself too much to stick around in situations that drain you. Now that you've learned how to own your exit, your life will never be the same. You'll walk away from what no longer serves you, and you'll attract people and opportunities that align with your values. But we're not done yet. Up next, we'll talk about how to unleash your true power by trusting yourself completely and embracing your inner strength. Stay with me, because this transformation is about to take you to new heights. You are not a doormat. You are someone who owns your exits and creates the life you deserve.